Ladies and gentlemen, sickos and normies, welcome back to the Landi Lodge podcast, episode 69, with my good man.
I didn't know that.
Hell yeah. Save that for a surprise for you. With my good man, David Freese of Brown Sugar and the Blind Albinos. And we're here to discuss whether the Pokemon series can make a comeback. And don't worry, we're going to go into full detail about what we mean about that. But before we roll down into that, David, I'd love it if you took a moment and let the people know what you're about.
So I'm David. Are we talking about what I'm about Pokemon-wise or just in general?
Well, tell them about the band and then proceed to tell them your history with Pokemon. I think that would
All right. So things are going great with the band right now. Me and Brown Sugar and the Blind Albinos. We started practicing again a couple weeks back. We had to take a little break because our drummer Jimmy hurt his shoulder, and he really can't drum without his shoulder. You know what I mean?
F in the chat for Jimmy.
Past couple weeks. Yeah. And look, we're moving on, and we have a bunch of songs that we're getting ready to record. We want to have this next EP out by the end of the year. That's what I hope. Where we got at least 5-6 songs ready to go, and I can't wait to expand our catalog officially.
Hell yes, and I can just say I'm really looking forward to it because your first EP, it was solid. It was excellent. But I've seen you guys live, and you've got more punch to you, and I can't wait to see it expressed on the next
thing.
EP. Yeah, so you get it. But anyway,
we want to get that live on the album.
Exactly. But we're here to talk some Pokemon. Now, let's, as a preface, I think when we're saying, can Pokemon make a comeback? I think it would be smart if you and I shared our opinions about the series first. So would you like to lead off with that?
Okay. Sure. So I have been a big fan of Pokemon since I could remember. Right, I remember my first experience with it. I was at a New Year's Eve party at my Uncle Richie's house, and my cousin Kimmy and my cousin Richie were both into the show, and I sat down and we watched the show all New Year's through the ball drop, and since then it was I would watch the show on my own. I got the games, and this all happened when I was, it started in 97 in the U.S. or 98, something like that.
Yeah, 97 sounds about right.
I remember my earliest memories have been involved with the franchise. I've played every generation. I'm one of those guys that gets both games because I like to get my initial playthrough and then I'll play it again with updated things, and I don't know. It's just always been there for me. How about you, my friend?
So I'm very similar to you. I actually have a memory of my first day of kindergarten, and I had a Team Rocket folder. So it's like you, man. It's just Pokemon's always been there, So it's always got a special place in my heart. And whether they release an absolute banger like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, or they release something lackluster like Sun and Moon, at the end of the day, I'm a fan of the franchise. I'll find a way to enjoy the game that I'm playing.
Exactly.
But, I think what we're here to talk about, just to get it out of the way, my opinion of Sword and Shield, I liked it more than Sun and Moon. I think the wild area is the best thing the series has incorporated in a very long time. I think the wild area should become more of the game. And I think
the entire game should just be that.
Exactly. And I think the DLC is sort of getting at that. So we'll talk, in depth about that. But overall, and this is something we talked about on our last solo episode together. Overall, I want to say this without being mean, but there were a lot of things in Sword and Shield that were lazy. This is the most powerful Nintendo console we've ever had. And the graphics look like they came from a Wii game or a GameCube game. And look, at the end of the day,
or just an updated 3DS game.
Or exactly. And it's when you think about the history of gaming and you think about what Pokemon means to the history of gaming and what Pokemon did for RPGs in the West, for, especially bringing JRPGs over into the West. When you think about the barriers that Pokemon broke down in its early days, you can't help but be a little disappointed at what we're getting today. And look, I'll be the first one to say Sword and Shield is a step in the right direction. The wild area is genius for the series. But when we're thinking about the last few generations as a whole, it's been a little lackluster. But we've also seen them go back.
Guided tour through regions. You no choice. You'll get and I get cutscenes for a long time in games, fine. But in a Pokemon game where you're just trying to adventure and go around and fight trainers, and we don't need to be sitting around getting these long exposition dumps, and then you move 2 feet, and then it's another thing, and then you move 2 feet, and then it's another thing. It's like, come on. I want an adventure. And that's what the wild area was.
And I'll say Sun and Moon's biggest problem was it was hand-holdy. They held your hand through the whole fucking game from beginning to end. The problem with Sword and Shield is it's holding your hand everywhere but the wild area. You know what I mean? But something else Sword and Shield did really well, you and I have talked about this, the gym leaders are cool. The character designs, go ahead. You look like
each has a distinct character. You get to know these characters too. They appear several times, and then at the end, when you get into the tournament, at the end you battle them again, and you get to fight their updated teams, and it's just their actual characters.
And then you get to fight alongside them,
right? And you get to, and it's like they know you. It's like you do kind of live in that world. You know what I mean?
And this is kind of what I'm getting at when I say I feel like Sword and Shield made a lot of steps in the right direction. I think a lot of the places where it fell was the campaign could have been a little better. The moves were garbage. The visual aesthetic of anything that wasn't a Dynamax move was basically
and then if it was a Dynamax move, there were only 5 of them because each type becomes one Dynamax move.
Exact 100%. So it's a game with a lot of warts, but also a lot of bright spots. So it's if someone came away and loved it, totally understand. If someone came away and hated it, totally understand. Personally, I've had a lot of fun playing Sword and Shield, more than I have playing Pokemon in a long time. So I can extend that olive branch to Sword and Shield. But,
there you go.
You're someone who's played through the DLC already. What are your thoughts on the DLC? And do you think it's a model that the Pokemon series needs to emulate from here on out?
Oh, 100%. That's exactly my opinion on it. It needs to be move into that sort of direction. So it's a lot of it's more like the wild area. You move the camera wherever you go. You get your Pokemon to follow you, even though it's kind of iffy the way they do it. It's not as well done as in Let's Go, but you move around with the Pokemon. The different areas of the wild area are distinct, unlike the regular wild area, which looks like just one big area, and you move 1 foot and it's like a sandstorm, and then you move back and it's raining. So it's it's just so sudden and weird. There's distinct biomes and different places you can go, and you can ride on a ocean type thing, and there are islands out on the ocean. And if I could imagine walking up to a Pokemon gym the way I do in the way you go to that dojo in the DLC, I would feel that building was big. It was you've seen it.
It had a presence, dude. It dominated the space it was in.
Exactly. If we can move in that direction, it's I'd be totally drop dead in love with that game. You know what I mean?
And I feel like this is what they're doing, right? Because the whole DLC wouldn't be structured like this if they weren't thinking, hey, this is what worked. You know?
Right.
I feel like the Pokemon team came away saying, like, hey, the wild area really sticks, you know? Because even the people who didn't like this game very much, a lot of them did enjoy the wild area.
Yes. Even though it got a little repetitive after a little bit, but it was the best part of the fucking game. And I think you were the one who was telling me about the rumors that they weren't originally supposed to put it on Switch.
Yeah, the rumors were that apparently Game Freak, and who knows at the end of the day how true this is, but the rumors are, so everyone who's listening, take this with a grain of salt. The rumors are that Game Freak thought the Nintendo Switch was doomed to fail. So that's why their original plan was, we're going to make Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, because that's an easy spin-off. It's Gen 1. We've done it 100 times already. Just bang it out in a new coat of paint. So they made something pretty basic like that because they thought Nintendo was going to move to a mobile platform. Now, to be real, if you're Game Freak, it's easy to see the Wii U was a failure. And then you see that Sony and Microsoft are excelling. So you think, okay, Nintendo's going to go full handheld because 3DS worked, but the console didn't.
No.
So Game Freak was making this game to be compatible for a 3DS type system and or your mobile device. But then when they saw the Switch was sticking, they kind of realized they needed to port this over to the Switch. And then Nintendo said, hey, we're discontinuing the 3DS eventually. Everything's moving to the Switch, all development to the Switch. And, Game Freak can be lazy. But I think the reason we saw such old-style graphics was because I don't think they had the Nintendo Switch in mind when they started crafting this project.
No. With how linear all the routes were and how, like, run-of-the-mill it was besides the wild area, it looks like it could have been a phone game.
Yeah, it 100%. And look, that's not taking a shot at phone games, but it's like, we're on the most powerful Nintendo hardware that's ever existed. We need, hey, Pokemon, here's your chance to step up. You know what I mean?
People have been clamoring for the home console mainline Pokemon game for years, and that's what was made. It's like,
and this is why
was there.
Exactly, and this is why I think part of it had to be confirmation bias on their point, because they're Game Freak. All the mainline Pokemon games have always been handheld. So for them to think, hey, no matter what, Nintendo's sticking to handheld, can't really blame them. But, times change, and Nintendo's gone one note. They used to be console and handheld. They brought them together. Times are changing. It's not enough to just make a handheld style game anymore. Sorry, Game Freak. We need a console style game.
Right. It's true, you do. And it's scary that for most of Pokemon's lifespan, it's been on a handheld system, and it has made almost as much money as Mario and Zelda, the two highest selling Nintendo games franchises.
And it stands.
And they were sold at half price.
Exactly. And listen, it's. Oh, hold on. Oh, okay, I can't. I just learned something new. Apparently, you can't minimize a Zoom screen when recording. But anyway, I think I read something that Pokemon as a franchise, not just the games, but as a franchise, is like the most popular franchise in the world.
The highest grossing franchise in the
highest grossing franchise, better way to put it. Don't know if that's still true today here in 2020. I think I read that like a year ago. But it even stands to reason that if it's top 5 franchise in the whole world, you know what I'm talking about? And this is where it's like, Game Freak has an opportunity. Guys, your game is going to sell. Like, it's going to sell. Take risks. You know what I mean?
Well, here's my thing. And here's what I get nervous about. And I think this is what Game Freak freaks out about too. There was precedent for them to not want to change it up. Really, they want to keep things the same, because once Black and White were released, They had the most lukewarm reception from any other game. So and that was like their like reboot. Like you couldn't catch any old Pokemon. You had to go across an entire new area, and it was very story centered. And so they tried to take this big risk, and it was a dud. But what they didn't realize was that Black and White 2, the second one, outsold the first one and was infinitely better. So it's not like they were punished for the new things. It was that something that they were doing with those new things just didn't work. You know what I mean?
It just didn't stick. And look, to their credit, the wild area is a new thing. It is a new risk. So there's a side of them that wants to do this.
Right.
But I just think, and look, at the end of the day, Pokemon's got to be. Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, Pokemon's got to be for kids. So it has to stay easy. But
kids aren't dumb.
Thank you. Kids aren't dumb, okay? And I think it's time to start updating this combat a little bit, okay? If your turn-based combat isn't that different from Final Fantasy 1, you need to reevaluate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's time. There's a place in this world for turn-based combat. Some people think it's over and action RPG is going to take over. I don't think that's the case. There's always room for turn-based combat, and it could still be done. But Pokemon needs more of a strategic element involved. You know, you don't have to up the difficulty, but maybe can we just add more strategic elements? And I see they tried to do that with Gigantamax.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I'm crazy about Gigantamax. I don't hate it. I enjoy it, but it seems
to me Mega Evolutions was just better to me.
I agree that the Mega Evolutions were better than Gigantamax.
Like it's just such another gimmick, like any other gimmick that they introduce, like Z moves, or I think they did it right the first time. You know what I mean? Why would you change that? Give us more Mega Evolutions. Come on, you gave us however many. You know what I mean?
Not only that, I'm also a big fan of anything that inspires the imagination. And when they introduced Mega Evolutions, man, like all over the internet, people were drawing up theoretical Mega Evolutions for all these Pokemon. And it's like, when your idea is cool, it engages the player's imagination after they put the game down. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I've seen some Gigantamax fan art, but I think people were way more into the Mega Evolutions.
Yeah, because it looked like a feasible next step for these Pokemon, not out of nowhere just growing humongous, and only some have like a change to them.
Yeah, there's some special Gigantamaxes. I will say, I really like max raid battles, and I wonder if there's a place for them without Gigantamaxes.
I think they would.
I mean, you could always max raid a Mega Evolution, I guess, or something.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah. But I'm a big fan of it because this is the first Pokemon in a while where it's really easy to play with your friends. You know?
Yeah.
You remember link cables, bro? You remember Game Boys and link cables?
Yeah, man.
And now you and I were max raid battling the other night. No problem.
Right, over the internet. Yeah.
You know, it's there's so many opportunities, and I feel like it's like Sword and Shield was like 1 foot in the water.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like exactly. And I feel like if Game Freak could just put both feet in the water, update the graphics, update the textures, make the moves look cool, keep trying to introduce new strategic battle elements, you know, and just make more of the game the wild area where we have control of the camera, where Pokemon are just wildly appearing like mad and random. It just
not like appearing 2 feet in front of you and then disappearing.
Exactly.
That's a little weird.
I want them to double down on all the things they did right this gen.
Yeah. They were so close because they touched something that obviously got the fans excited. It just, a lot of other things just didn't work about it.
Well, you know what? Here's something else I want to give them. I really like the Gen 8 Pokemon. You know?
Yeah.
I think the Pokemon
Toxtricity
designs
is
are
one of
really
my
good.
new favorite Pokemon. Yeah.
Yep.
Toxtricity is great. Who else?
I like Boltund a lot. I think he
Dragonite,
was a good design.
Bolton is great.
I like all this.
Grimmsnarl.
I like all Grimmsnarl's awesome, bro. He's one of my
Mhm.
favorites. I love the all the final evolutions of the starters. I'm actually a big fan of. I really like all of them. I
I
was
am
Groupie
accepting
Gang.
Inteleon. I was
Inteleon?
accepting. Um, and it sucks because I was Sobble Squad, and I started with Sobble, and I didn't look at any like the leaks or whatever. So I saw the evolutions, and I was like, ugh.
Dude, admittedly, I always peek at starter evolutions before starting. That's why I was Grookey Gang. Rillaboom is
Yeah,
the man, dude.
yeah.
Banging on the drum, like so sick.
But yo, freaking Gigantamax Cinderace. Come on, he's standing on a huge fireball.
Dude,
Come
when
on,
he,
that shit is cool.
dude, it's cool as fuck. It's cool as fuck. Was it your Cinderace when we were doing the max raid battle? Is that where I
Yeah.
remember? Yeah, you
Uh-huh.
you did that recently.
And
Yeah.
the shooting of the fireball that he does, it's fucking awesome.
And that's what I mean. That's like a new move with a cinematic they made from scratch.
Right.
You know, it's like
But you know what?
Go ahead.
Even when we don't have like visuals, like you were saying before, you got to update the combat a little bit. The way we do it we've been playing a D&D Pokemon game with our man J-Rob as the dungeon master, and it's us, Charlotte, and Joe Santangelo. Great freaking time every week.
What a squad.
But the combat in that is just so much more interesting.
Yes.
Because you can describe, and then you could, on top of not just doing the moves, you can move your Pokemon away, maybe get out of the way of an attack, or
it's like a combination of Pokemon and Fire Emblem.
right.
You know?
And you can update the combat to just a little more than just you go and then you go and then you go and then you go.
It's too binary. It's too binary.
Right.
And like you're saying, kids are not dumb. You can update. You can take it a step further. It's okay. You know, like type advantages are cool, and berries are cool, and holding leftovers and items like that is cool. But at the end of the day, I just think the combat in some way needs to be revitalized. And that's the thing, is like maybe not even that much needs to be done. Maybe it's just a fine.
What would you say? What would you say they should do?
Well, I'm a psycho, and I'm open to just radical changes, right? Like I brought up the Fire Emblem Pokemon thing. I would actually love to see that. I'd love to see having like 3 or 4 Pokemon on a board, moving them around strategically, trying to like corner enemies or push them a certain way. And then when certain encounters happen, then the fights take place. Something like that could be cool. But if I wanted to be a little bit more, I guess you'd say, safer with it and keep it more in line with what we already have, maybe there's a dodge element you could add, or maybe there's an accuracy element you could add. So if you hit, like, there's like a thing that comes in and out, and if you hit A right when it hits the target, you get the critical. And if somebody's going to hit you, if you could just jolt at just the right time, you'll dodge. It's like if you could put those things that are usually left to chance, like dodging and criticals, in the hands of the player, I think it would create just a whole new type of feel to the combat, because it's not a matter of I selected this move, now I'll watch it play. It turns into I selected this move and got it. Oh, fuck, just missed. You know?
Right.
Something like that.
And you could, and even with that, you can keep the type advantages too. So like maybe you dodge, but like it whatever, or even like a defend thing. Like if you could add a defense, like there's so many different things that they could do that they really just choose not to.
Yeah, you could even just add the option to guard. You could just have there be a guard option. So it's like if you don't want to do a move, you could guard. Because I've always thought about that. Like I've been doing one-on-one battles with Joe, and when he uses his Dynamax, in my head I'm like, I wish I could just guard and wait this bitch out. You know?
Right.
Just little things like that where it's like, you know, the base combat isn't changing, but you're updating these other things. You know, the things that are usually left to chance are now kind of in the player's hands.
Exactly.
You know, there's room to wiggle to me.
Right.
to me at least.
I agree. It's time for them again. The Switch is Nintendo's strongest system ever. Why are we still gaming like that? And especially when we had games like Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, just all games that just completely just
Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Right, they revolutionized their franchises. How has it not happened for Pokemon yet?
David, what you just said there is absolutely perfect. When you look across the board at Nintendo's, first party properties, whether it's Mario, whether it's Zelda, whether it's Fire Emblem, these are franchises that have completely revolutionized their series. And I guess what we want is just the same for Pokemon.
Right.
We just want the same thing.
I want to feel like an adventure, like it did when we were kids.
And, at the end of the day, it's not Game Freak's job to recapture our childhood. But I think what you're alluding to when you say make it feel like an adventure when we were kids is, hey, step up the scale a little bit. I think on my last podcast with Andrew Parker from Send the Invite, I'm trying to remember what game we were talking about. But it's like, imagine you had a game you loved from N64. And they just made an HD remaster for it, like they just did with the Crash Bandicoot series or with the Spyro the Dragon series. And then you play it, and you're exactly. And then you play it, and you're like, "Oh, this is kind of what it looked like to me as a kid. Right. Like it looked this real to me as a kid, even back then when it was just these polygonal graphics." So it's like, it's not Game Freak's job to recapture our childhoods, but it's like you could step up the scale so much that the way it looks to us is the way we imagined it on our Game Boys.
Exactly. And the fact that the Game Boy was such a primitive system, and we're still on that same kind of like, the way to play the games hasn't changed.
I guess you'd say the gameplay loop.
Right.
It's the same thing. You take the route, your Pokemon get beat up, you get to the town, you go to the center, you go to the gym, you beat the gym, you go to the mart, you re-up, you go to the route, you get beat up, you go to the town, go to the, you know what I'm saying? It's the
go to the gym, go to the Pokemon Center, go to the gym, get the items, go back to your next one, go to the gym. Yeah, it's true. But you know what? I recently played Platinum again, and Gen 4 was like, to me, the last like great gen. So I would say Gen 1, 2, 3, awesome. After that, it kind of went for me. I enjoyed X and Y.
What do you think happened?
To me, they started, Black and White tried to reboot things, and then from there, after that lukewarm reception that I talked to you about, I think they just became afraid to try and do anything different, or just, if you're going to do something different, do it in like a side game or something like that. Like I was saying, I played Platinum for the first time since I bought it back in the day, and I was so surprised at how just the combat just worked for that world. Things were difficult. Like anytime I would get to a gym fight, no matter how hard I trained, the gym leaders were like 2 or 3 levels or 5 levels ahead of me. So you really have to go back and struggle to get through those gym fights. The champion is absolutely ridiculous. Cynthia is like impossible. I had to do a soft reset every time because I just, again, didn't want to go to the Pokemon League again, and I ran out of money. When was the last time you ran out of money in Sword and Shield to where like, oh shit, I can't just buy more items?
Never. And never did Sword and Shields make me feel like I had to turn back and go grind.
Never. And especially if you were chilling in the wild area and you were doing those max raid battles, and you were getting those experience candies, it was like a fucking breeze. The only
Yes.
the only guy I had like a little issue with was Leon at the end of the
At the
fucking
very
game.
end, and it was a little issue.
Right. Once you got through his whatever couple Pokemon, then it's like boom, it was over. What were you saying?
I've got something else that needs to be done that I actually think is pivotal to the Pokemon experience. They have got to fix the rival. I can't take it anymore. The last two rivals have just been terrible.
Mm-hmm.
You need a rival. You need like, don't get me wrong, I guess maybe a kid could have had problems with Hop, but like I steamrolled him every time. I steamrolled Hop every fucking time. And it's like the story.
I don't need him to tell me that I'm doing a super effective move either. Shut up.
Exactly. The experience works better when you have the cocky rival. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't work. The friendly rival doesn't work. You make enough friends in the world. You know, and honestly, I thought Marnie was going to be like the
Oh yeah, but she sucked.
But she sucked, and then she really softens up at the end. And it's like, no. Do you know how hard I had to work in Red and Blue to get Gary to say one nice thing about me? You know what I had to do? I had to go through the whole fucking game and then beat him. And at the very end, the peak of the game, this rival gave me my props. And then I was champion. But then you just beat Hop, and you're like, dude, you're just in the way of the story. Like, I'm trying to capture the legendary right now. Do we have to do this battle? We don't need to do this. You know, at least with Gary, you guys were both competing to be, you know, at the top of the Pokemon League champion. But it's Hop never felt like a contender for it. From the beginning, he was painted as your number 2, where Gary straight up acted like he was better than you. And I'm sorry if anyone's listening and I'm being a typical Gen 1er, but this is just how I feel. I'm not a loyalist when it comes to Gen 1. In fact, I'm encouraging them to grow beyond it and experiment beyond it. But when it comes to the rival, they nailed it in Gen 1. They nailed it.
I think they improved with Gen 2 with Silver. I think Silver was a great fucking rival. Brendan or May kind of sucked in what was that? Hoenn, in Sapphire, and then but Barry. See, that's the thing. Barry in Diamond and Pearl and Platinum. To me, he's your best friend, but at the entire time he's challenging you, and also he's not a bitch. You struggle in your fights with him. But that's why I love that game that I recently played, and I went back and I could not believe just how well it holds up. It really does.
Speaking of which, you know, we've given a solid half hour on can Pokemon make a comeback, what you and I want to see from the series, what they've been doing right, what they've been doing wrong. But the next Pokemon adventure is rumored to be a Diamond and Pearl remake. Would you lose your shit if they did it?
Hope so. God, I would lose my absolute shit. I really would, because even if it was completely just remake the entire region exactly the way it was, but upscale to a Switch standard, even if it looks like fucking like Sword and Shield, it'll be fucking great. Honestly, but if they make it like a whole wild area type thing where they really double down on it and the routes don't feel like you're guiding, and the best part about Sinnoh is that there's like so many parts to it, so you move so many different areas in a map. It doesn't feel like a straight fucking line like Galar is. I could just imagine like moving around in that world. But if they don't update the combat, I will still be kind of annoyed. And if they make everyone a bitch, like weakening everyone because the original games were too hard, then I'll be pissed off.
Yeah, they can't nerf this shit. Can't. It's
Like,
listen. At the end of the day, look. At the end of the, excuse me, but at the end of the day, the formula is rather simple, and a child's smart enough to figure it out. If you fight a gym leader and they're too strong, go back in the wild and do some fights. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, even if you make a game like Pokemon hard, the solution's always simple. The solution is, well, why don't you just go back out there, catch some more Pokemon, fight some more trainers, do some more grinding. You know, it's simple solution. So it's like, no matter what, Game Freak, you're never going to make a game that's that hard. In fact, I fucking dare you. But, like, you're never going to make a game that's that hard. Because if the gym leader's too tough, I'll just go back to the tall grass. I'll kill a couple of fucking Spearows, and I'll be ready to kill you, Misty. But, like,
it happened a couple times on my Platinum playthrough. Gym leaders kicked my ass.
Dude, I remember getting my ass whooped. The first time I can remember being whooped in the series was Red at the end of Gold and Silver. Absolutely, wrecked me.
Train wreck.
Wrecked me. Wasn't ready for it. I had like Elite Four caliber Pokemon, you know? And I thought that would be enough. But clearly not.
Right. You beat all the gym leaders, so you thought you were sitting high and they'd be like 70s, 80s. No, they were in the fucking 80s. It was 80, like, what?
And his
Who am I supposed
Dragonite.
to train?
He had a Dragonite, right? I remember a Dragonite in my nightmares, but didn't he have a Dragonite?
I don't think Red had one, no. Red was, in Gold and Silver, it was Pikachu, Blastoise, Venusaur, Charizard, Espeon, and either Aerodactyl or Snorlax. Maybe it was Snorlax. I think it was Snorlax.
All right, I just looked it up
that
for
was
us.
His team.
I looked it up for us. Here's his team.
His
team is Blastoise, Charizard, Venusaur, Snorlax, Espeon, Pikachu.
Ah, it was Snorlax.
Yeah. Perfect. I love the Espeon. Honestly, Espeon's one of my favorites. I love.
They took Espeon out in the remakes. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, they replaced it with a Lapras.
I don't like that. That nerfs him a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, because think about it. Now he has 2 waters and no psychics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that kind of nerfs him in terms of team composition.
A little bit, but I still got my ass kicked in that, too. I just recently finished Gold, and I still can't beat Red, and I can't go back. It's so bad.
Dude, at the end of the day, it's like, you know, Pokemon didn't get here by accident. Actually, you know what? Before I get into this whole like little ending monologue, speaking of Pokemon making a comeback, you're a fan of the new anime.
Oh, yeah, man.
We got to talk about that if we're going to talk about Pokemon making a comeback.
Oh, 100%.
I haven't seen 1 second of any episode, so I'll leave it to you to give your take on it for the audience.
All right. So the premise of the season, right, is that first of all, the first episode is like a little flashback to when Pikachu was a Pichu, and he met Mew, and it was Professor Oak's like summer camp that Ash was too late for, so he didn't go. But the co-main character Go was there, and that's where he ran into Mew too. And like, so they had like a previous bond, but they didn't really know each other. So the whole season is about Go, and he's trying to catch every Pokemon and work his way up to Mew. And you have him and Ash, and now Ash is trying to win the Pokemon World Championship. And he has to move up the ranks so he can beat Leon. And now what's really cool is that they're also working as like assistants to like a new Pokemon professor's lab. So they've been going to different regions and beating people in they just had a rematch with Ash fought one of the gym leaders from Kalos again, the one with the Lucario, and that was such an epic fight. And you get a character like Go who's catching all these Pokemon, so at least someone has them. But then you get Ash, who's like getting these competitive Pokemon. He's got his Pikachu. He's got Dragonite. He's got Gengar. He's got Riolu. He's got his Mr. Mime, and he has Galarian Farfetch'd now. So we can assume he's going to get a Surfetch'd. But that's a solid fucking team. And the battles, oh my god. To see Ash use a Gengar, to see him use a fucking Dragonite in a battle is like, this guy was a champion. He's been in Pokemon leagues. This guy knows what he's doing. And it's
so why doesn't he
highly recommend it. Yes.
And I said, so why doesn't he age?
Why doesn't he age?
Is he in a dream? Is he in a coma? Do you remember that theory? Did you study that theory back in the day?
I remember that. Yeah. And his father was never there because something like I don't know, but that was insane. I remember reading that. It was years ago, and it's like, fuck. Maybe I don't want to be into this right now.
Because you never know, right? That's the thing about a good theory is they convince you that it just might be true. And that's enough to really like spark your imagination. But look, as we said, Pokemon's been there the whole time, like as far back as we can remember. I like almost like a friend who I just want to see like have a good life. I just want to see Pokemon thrive. I want to see it continue to grow and expand and do better. Sword and Shield, I'll say 1 foot in the water. You know, there are some things they did that are incredible and have a chance to revitalize the series. Looking at you, Wild Area. And there are some parts of it that are warts. Looking at you, visual aesthetics. And yes, those things matter. Those things do matter.
Yeah, of course they matter.
But at the end of the day, they're starting to make some good moves. The anime's doing well. The Sword and Shield DLC seems to be moving in the direction of Wild Area exploration, moving the camera.
I'm pumped for Crown Tundra.
Yeah, I'm fucking down too. And, you know, and the anime's doing well. So it's like, I think for the first time in years, Pokemon's starting to really get me excited, you know, because I enjoyed Sword and Shield, but maybe I'm a fool for raising the bar for the next game and thinking they're going to exceed my expectations. But I just have this gut feeling that Game Freak really might do it. It might start with these Diamond and Pearl remakes, which will be, you know, easily digestible. You know, it's a tried and true formula of doing these remakes. People are going to love it. And I really think Gen 9, they're really going to try and correct the flaws of previous generations.
Yes.
I really think so.
You know what's been talked about too? That there's rumors about either the Diamond and Pearl remake or they're going to do a freaking Johto Let's Go.
Yeah, I heard about the Johto Let's Go. Here's the thing. All right, here's my thoughts on that. I'd take the Diamond and Pearl remake 1,000,000 times over. Like, easy decision for me. But Let's Go Johto, I feel the same way about Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. It's like, that'll be fun.
Right.
But you better hope I don't have a big gaming backlog, because if I do, I'm not going to play it.
Right. When was the last time you picked up Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee?
Like 3 weeks ago. Like 3 weeks ago, just to put all those Pokemon into Pokemon Home.
Gotcha.
I didn't even finish the game, dude. That's the thing. Because, dude, here's the thing. First of all, I love fucking Gen 1. I love it. I've played that game more times than I can count.
I'd play Yellow. If I was gonna play Let's Go, I'd rather just play Yellow.
I'd rather play Fire Red Leaf Green.
Yeah.
You know? And I respect Yellow because Yellow is like Ash's journey. So it's kind of cool.
And Let's Go is kind of like a remake of that.
It's true. But it's like, Let's Go Johto would be cool, but in my head it'd be like, this is the side of Game Freak I don't like. I hate to say it because like I enjoyed Let's Go. It was fun riding the Charizard, but it's like, guys, can you get to the real work?
Right.
You know,
Like
but
you're doing the same cookie cutter thing.
I was going to get ready to wrap this up, but we have one more game to talk about before we close this out. Can you guess where I'm going with this?
Let's do it.
Pokemon Snap, baby.
Don't know.
Pokemon Snap. That is a genius move. Genius move. Because you know what Pokemon...
They've known people have wanted it for years.
They've wanted it for years. And at the end of the day, when you really think about it, once in a while, Pokemon makes a really good spin-off game. Once in a while, they make a spin-off that is just fucking fantastic. Pokken Tournament is a great example of this in recent memory.
It's great.
Here's how I feel about Let's Go Johto. I'd rather spend the money on Pokken Tournament for the Switch than I would Let's Go Johto. But Pokemon Snap... I
agree.
Yeah, and Pokemon Snap leaves a lot to get excited for. I'm excited. I think Pokemon could do it. I think they still have their fan base intact. Like, bro, I know people who don't even game, and because they got locked up in quarantine, they decided to download Game Boy emulators and play Pokemon. You know what I mean? So it's like they're in people's heads forever. You've done it. Like, you have the base. Let's go. Time to hit some homers. But I think that's all we've got for today. We're closing in on an hour here. David, do you want to give any... Yeah, dude, we're at 50 minutes. At least that's what it says on my recording. We're probably a little bit ahead because we lollygagged in the beginning. But of
course.
But I want to leave some time here, David, if you want to give any final thoughts on whether or not Pokemon can make a comeback. And again, just remind the people where they can find you and what you do.
Gotcha. Okay. So I do think Pokemon can make a comeback. They just do need to make very, very, very big changes because the stagnation that we've been feeling for the past however many years, whatever you want to say, is just not working anymore. And for people who, for it to be the most profitable franchise or the most popular franchise in the world, and they're not trying to push the boundaries a little bit, is kind of just insulting, to be honest, to people who have been paying, and for people who are paying now $60 for a mainline game instead of the usual like 35. I do think if they make the changes, they can get it back. And to close it out, David Freese, Brown Sugar, Blind Albinos, Blind blah 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 blah, Brown Sugar and the Blind Albinos, writing a new album, coming soon. As soon as we can play a gig, we will be back to the live shows. I can't fucking wait. I hate not playing live in front of people because I can't get my lunatic stage guy out. So I'm looking forward to that coming back. So, and I hope all the sages of the lodge, everyone listening, everyone out there has been doing well in this past however long it's been, in this current time that we're in, and I hope everyone's safe and happy and healthy.
Amen, brother. So for those of you listening, if you want to follow David Freese or Brown Sugar and the Blind Albinos, I'll have links in the description, especially on YouTube. I will have some directions in the Spotify and Apple podcast link descriptions too.
Sorry, please.
You'll know where to find them. It's easy to find them. Thank you for looking out for the sages. You are a sage yourself, and I'm glad you brought them up because we're going to close this episode out with a thank you right in their direction. So to the sages of the lodge, those of you who donate monthly to keep the lodge rolling, this thank you is for you. So thank you, Alex Pamal. Thank you, baddest motherfucker in the Southwest, Shane Thomas Driscoll. Thank you, Chris Burkowski. Thank you, Maria Palmieri. Thank you, Andrew Parker. Thank you, Julie Rossman. Thank you, Nick Taborski. Thank you, Kevin McBride. Thank you, Michael Fay. Thank you, Richard Arnold. Thank you, Dan Muller. Thank you, Andrew Clay. Thank you, Roger Kemp. Thank you, Charlotte Astry. And of course, Of course. Thank you. Today's guest, David Freese. We are building something that is a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun. I love having all you people on, just talking about all this crazy stuff. It's a crazy world we're living in. We're living in it together. We're going to get through it together. Everyone out there, stay safe. Much love to you and your families. And David, thank you for coming on once again.
Thank you for having me.
Take care, everybody.